Welcome back to the Tailoring Talk Magazine Movie Marathon. We have chosen to accept the mission of watching every single Mission Impossible movie leading up to the release of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning in May 2025. It's Roberto here, and as ever, I'm here with my carefully assembled IMF team, John Evans and Alex Hansford. How are you both?
I'm very well. I'm suffering a little bit from lack of voice. Sorry for interrupting, Alex, but I just jumped in. I've just come back from skiing with.
I mean, to be fair, John, I usually go to you first.
You do, yeah.
I broke protocol.
You did. Oh, very good. I see what you did there. I'm hoping my voice will last out the podcast and video, because I've been, hurtling down slopes on skis, screaming and dealing with a kind of burnout of being with 24 kids for 8 days on a coach from England to the sort of north of Italy.
For new listeners, he's a teacher, and that was a school trip. Okay,
yes.
So
yeah. Best mention that. Otherwise, it's a bit. I've not got that big a family.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Alex, how are you?
I'm okay today. I will be the plucky English comedy person.
Oh, good. You'll be Benji
as you will see from. Yeah, I'll be Benji today. So, I'm all right. Thank you. Not bad. So
good.
Pleased. Off work for a bit. So
what does that make me then?
Easter
Jeremy
Renner.
Renner?
Yeah. You can
No.
go for him.
No.
Just don't go anywhere near a snowblower, and you'll be fine.
Okay, yeah.
Jeremy Renner will never be listening to this, but if you are, I apologise for that joke, and we're so glad that you're okay.
Well, very glad.
Alex.
But anyway,
After God knows how many episodes with these two, they never ask me how I am. Anyway,
how are you, Bobby?
Mission Impossible.
Come on, Tez. I have to say, Bobby, you're looking very fresh. Your skin looks very fresh and vital this evening. Have you been using products?
Yeah, well,
is it
funny you
Occitane?
should say that, John.
Occitane serum or something? What is it you're using?
It's Decleor.
Decleor. Oh, I mean, that wasn't prompted or scripted,
Yeah.
folks. That was me just trying
No,
to
actually,
something rude.
This bag of moisturisers and things has been under my desk for a little while because I've got a good supply. Anyway, whatever. We're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol 2011, a movie which marked a huge moment for the franchise. Not only was it the most ambitious film in the series to date, but it also signalled a tonal and structural shift that would define the modern Mission Impossible films. Directed by Brad Bird in his live-action debut and produced by J.J. Abrams, Ghost Protocol delivered high-octane spectacle, global espionage, and jaw-dropping stunts, while solidifying Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, as one of modern cinema's most enduring action heroes. Before we begin, here is your spoiler alert, which will self-destruct in 5 seconds. We'll be detonating spoilers all over the place. So if you haven't seen MI4, pause and come back when you're ready. In the film, Ethan and his team are disavowed after a terrorist named Cobalt, real name Kurt Hendricks, played by Michael Nyqvist, bombs the Kremlin, framing the IMF in the process. With limited resources, Hunt and his new team must go rogue to clear their name, prevent global nuclear war, and stop Cobalt, who believes humanity must be wiped out to evolve. The team spans the globe from Budapest to Dubai to Mumbai in a whirlwind of action sequences, espionage, and tense team dynamics. The film re-established the franchise's credibility and financial viability, earning over $695 million worldwide and launching the Mission Impossible films to a new level of blockbuster status. I vividly remember going to see this in the cinema, guys. I think I relived every single emotion that I went through in the cinema seat at the IMAX during you know which bit. And I think I messaged you guys last night and I said, wow, what a difference from 3 to 4. But it was every bit as enjoyable as when I first saw it. What a great movie. Spoiler alert. Guys, to take you back to 2011, did you go and see this? Did you IMAX it? Because obviously the publicity was all around the Burj Khalifa heist. I think you can call it, which was shot in IMAX. John?
I didn't IMAX it, no, but I did watch it in a cinema. I remember going to see it with my other half, and yeah, I mean, I vividly remember the BMW, thinking, "Wow, that's so futuristic." Thinking it was electric, but it wasn't. It's a hybrid, that one, isn't it? I was convinced
It's a
it was an electric
hybrid,
vehicle.
yeah, the
It's a
i8.
hybrid. But it sounds like an electric in the film, and I wonder if they made it out to look like an electric car. No, I loved it. I remember seeing it at the cinema, and remember thinking, yeah, this is kind of like the standard they set, really, isn't it? This one, yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
So I never saw it at the cinema. In fact, I don't think I've seen it before.
Hang on a minute. You're the one that hadn't seen these movies now, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
he's our
sorry.
So
Mission
for me,
Impossible Canary.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and I have to say I was bowled over with it. I mean, it's just like someone shoved something quite strong up someone's backside, and then and then that's it. It's like someone running like on 10 or 11 rather than just like padding along. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. But there's a lot to it. They don't stop at all. And just when you kind of catch your breath and you go, oh, good, quiet moment, and then something happens, and you're like, oh shit, no, it's not a quiet moment. And so yeah, obviously I was aware of the press around the Burj Khalifa, so I was aware around that. But at the time, I was more into other things like Bourne, and so I just didn't have a need to watch it. I can't regret that now, because actually on IMAX, I think it'd be bloody awesome. So
Yeah.
I
Is this
might
the
have a
first-
bit of vertigo.
Is this the first one where they started doing like previews of the special effects? You know how Tom Cruise, like, he does a little featurette of some of the scenes, like the scene with the sticky gloves on the Burj Khalifa. I think this is the first one they did that. So
Yeah,
someone
I think it
bobbers
was.
in, let's show these bits off.
Yeah, so talking about like Brad Bird, I will try and keep this moving. Despite these two's best efforts, and John having a dodgy voice is not going to make a difference. He's still,
No,
John be John.
interrupt.
Yeah, development of the movie and the story. So, after the moderate success of Mission Impossible 3, Paramount was not sure how they were going to proceed with the franchise due to Tom Cruise's off-screen controversies and shenanigans. So they knew that they wanted to make another Mission film, but weren't sure if they wanted to continue with Cruise. But obviously the problem was that Tom Cruise was the kind of catalyst for all of this being what it is in the first place. Jeremy Renner was brought in, and they were looking at him as a possible replacement for Ethan Hunt, someone that he might pass the torch to, and then Jeremy Renner would carry on the franchise.
Well, that went
So
well with Bourne,
yeah,
didn't it? They tried to do that with Bourne as well, didn't they? And that didn't work very well.
yeah, because he was he was in number four, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So the Bourne
Yeah,
Legacy.
number four, because there were five of them. Yeah, Born
Yeah,
Legacy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was still a pretty good film. I mean, we're not talking about that film today.
No.
We probably will do the Bond movies at some point. But anyway, so producer J.J. Abrams, along with Tom Cruise, envisioned a big global, but more grounded in realism movie. And JJ handed directorial duties to Brad Bird. This was after they looked at Edgar Wright, who was hot off the success of Dawn of the Dead. I believe Hot Fuzz was before this as well. Brad Bird had been known not for live action movies. This was his first live action film, but he'd been known for The Incredibles and Ratatouille, The Iron Giant before that. He'd also directed some Simpsons episodes as well. His visual flair and understanding of action storytelling made him an inspired, albeit initially surprising choice because of his lack of experience with live action. I remember at the time when I found out Brad Bird was the director, and I absolutely love The Incredibles, and Ratatouille is one of my favorite Pixar films. I absolutely adore that movie. And I was really excited because I just thought, wow, I mean, if he can bring the kind of cadence that he brings to his animated films, that
Which he did,
it would,
I think. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. That pace is
from
definitely there.
from the get-go. Yeah,
Yeah.
from the get-go. Absolutely. Screenwriters Josh Applebaum and Andre Nemec, who are alumni of J.J. Abrams, having written for Alias. By the way, I have,
We need to watch that. We need to watch that.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's on our
I
list, isn't it?
downloaded the first 6 episodes to my phone, and whilst I'm kind of quite resentful that I'm going to start watching it on my commute. Just I'm very grateful that we're actually able to do that nowadays as well, because
Yeah.
otherwise I just wouldn't get time to cram all of this stuff in. But they developed a story that would blend real world tension, terrorism, nuclear threat with character driven plotting, which was very important. They wanted to make sure that this was a team movie, that the focus was more on the broader IMF team rather than being an Ethan Hunt movie. Um, as I said before, it was initially conceived as a soft reboot, so they could potentially pass the baton from Cruise to a younger agent, Jeremy Renner's William Brandt. But Tom Cruise's commitment and physical dedication, I'll talk about that as we get into this, shifted the direction completely. And instead of stepping back, Tom Cruise took center stage yet again, doubling down on the high stakes stunts that would become the trademark of this franchise. Um, I feel, guys, like this is Mission's Goldfinger. So if we think back to Goldfinger, Goldfinger was the first Bond movie where they brought all of the kind of elements together that make Bond. So the title sequence, the pre-title sequence, the title sequence, the fact Bond has an adversary. There are usually two girls, one that he has a liaison with, and the other one who is basically evil and will end up dead, or is not evil and ends up dead anyway. But there's a very certain formula to Bond that Mission kind of lacked before Ghost Protocol. And I kind of feel like they start to get those elements into place for this film, which is why I feel like we're going to be more energized talking about it. And it's going to be easier to deal with. I was saying to Carolina, because she said, "How are you enjoying the kind of Mission podcast?" And I said, "You know what? It's a real struggle, or it has been a real struggle so far. And I think what it is that again, there's just nothing like Bond at all,
Yeah.
because of that magic formula and the ingredients that they had for that franchise, and it actually made it easier for us to talk about because it was everything from the plot to the girls, the gadgets, etc., etc.
Well,
Whereas
it's
Mission
regular
didn't quite.
features, aren't they? They're all regular features that you
Yeah,
would have on a
Yeah.
podcast. So that's yeah.
exactly.
But we're getting there, aren't we? And there's hints at the end of this film about the franchise going forward as well, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah.
Yes. Oh, I won't give it away now, but
Yeah.
that was so cool because again, at the time, I didn't really pay attention to
We've got to
that.
be careful what we say because we've got the canary here. He hasn't seen all the films, Bobby. Remember?
I was going to say they're all Apple users, aren't they? Just say it now.
Oh yes, the MacBook
Get me
Air they
annoyed.
use for
Right away.
Benji's MacBook Air. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that might come from the whole Brad Bird Pixar association as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, they just
Carry
need, to make a film like this, you need reliability, Alex. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just going to do
So-
some fact checking quickly whilst you talk, Bobby.
Yeah, please. Right, Brad Bird's live action debut. Brad brought a unique feeling to the series, known for his dynamic, animated storytelling and character work. Bird envisioned each set piece as a tightly choreographed puzzle. His stylistic influences range from classic Hitchcockian thrillers to modern action choreography. He insisted on practical effects whenever possible with minimal CGI, and he often challenged the production team to create stunts that felt authentic and grounded even when they defied belief. I think that Tom Cruise was a huge part of this, and probably I'm going to bounce forward a little bit here, but the Burj Khalifa thing took 8 months of planning, and the training that he did for it, he basically would keep his training for a specific part of that sequence that involved a certain movement or a certain jump or a certain slamming into something or whatever. He
Yeah.
would peak his training so that he had the right muscle groups at optimal, you know what I
The
mean? So that,
man's a
I mean,
machine, isn't he?
this the
Yeah.
stuntman said that if he ever failed as an actor, he could just become a stuntman and he would probably be regarded as the greatest stuntman ever in Hollywood. I mean, he's amazing, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that at all. So yeah, I'm just in awe of him and the amount of work. And it's not only doing the stunts to that level, it's also the fact that he's still acting while he's doing it
Yeah.
as well. He
We,
never ever loses that.
we
He's
mentioned that, didn't
amazing.
we? We mentioned that in the last podcast when he was doing the scenes on the bridge with the drone, and that his face, he did that being pulled to the side 15 times, and the director said, "Let's do it without telling him to get that action." The actor, the facial action. Yeah, he talked about CGI. Yet again, I've seen a breakdown of the Burj Khalifa climbing scene with from the corridor crew. They look into how they made that, because there's a specific scene when they all realise that the cloud is approaching from the sandstorm. And if you watch the camera rotates around Ethan's head at an impossible angle. So it wouldn't have worked if they had it as a normal standard setup. So what they had to do there was they had to remove the window completely and bring the camera around, and they had to put in where the window is perfect CGI reflections of him in the background to allow the camera to go into the glass and round again. So there is some CGI, but it's very subtle and only used for that scene where the camera swings around. But again, completely, I didn't spot it at all until I'd seen the breakdown. It's very, very clever. So as you say, Brad Bird's using it where needed rather than all the time.
So let's talk about cast. I mean, Brad Bird, again, sorry, don't want to gloss over the work that he did, but he did an amazing job with this. And also the title sequence I thought was the best. I'll wait until we've seen the other movies, but I've got a feeling it's going to rank as maybe one of the best title sequences of the entire franchise. It was so good, and it had all of those little signatures from the work that he did on Ratatouille and The Incredibles in particular as well. It was fantastic because previously, like we'd seen the fuse get lit, and then you've got the montage, like bit like the old TV show of what's going to happen in the thing and so on. But the way that he had that fuse we follow the fuse's
Yeah, it's very
journey
good.
till it explodes at the very end. It was very, very good. Yeah.
It felt like the most accurate homage to the original series.
Okay,
Because
that's interesting.
because I've been watching the original series. Gosh, they're quite different, just in terms of the quality of the effects and the makeup and so on. But it is like looking into a time machine of the 60s where they filmed it. It's really, really interesting. But that whole montage of what goes on in the film, happens at the beginning of every episode. Well, and I tend to, a bit like, the only other series that really copied that really well was Battlestar Galactica, the new BSG. They did that as well, didn't they? With the
Yes.
boom, sort of
Yes.
drumming effects. I'm in
It's
two
like
minds
a
whether I like
recap
that.
and what's coming
Yeah,
up.
I'm not sure I like. With the Battlestar Galactica, I used to look away, so it didn't give away the episode.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but with this, I think it did it perfectly without giving away what goes on in the film. There's no spoilers in that montage. It's very clever.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
mean,
It gave you a taste, didn't it? But the thing is, I found it a little bit disorientating, but that's because I had no context at the time.
Yeah,
And I think that's where some of the originals, they actually, there's like clips of the actual shots, whereas I think these were like composites, weren't they? And I feel like so for me it was fine, but it was like watching a Bond sequence, a Bond intro sequence where it's like, oh, I see, it's going to be based here. All right, it's going to be based here. The only difference was that this happened so quickly because of the fuse analogy and how they moved it on so quickly. So so it was really interesting. But yeah, I can definitely see the elements of we're going to do the TV series elements. We're going to do those right here. But we're ticking off all those boxes. So that was good.
Yeah. On to casting. So Tom Cruise obviously returned with Ethan Hunt. Now fully established as producer and star, he pushed the envelope even further in Ghost Protocol, fully committing to the Burj Khalifa stunt himself without a stunt double. He was deeply involved in the film's tone and structure, helping shape the story as a collaborative partner with Bird and Abrams. Jeremy Renner was cast as William Brandt, and originally he was conceived, as I mentioned before, as a potential replacement for Ethan Hunt. Renner's character was rewritten after Cruise committed fully to the franchise. Renner brings emotional weight to the film as a man haunted by a failed mission that may have cost Ethan's wife Julia, Michelle Monaghan, we saw her in Mission Impossible 3, may have cost Julia her life. Simon Pegg returns as Benji Dunn. Benji has been promoted from tech guy to field agent, and Pegg brings what for me was some much needed and much welcomed humour to the movie. Yeah, and his comic timing helped further define the team dynamic. I thought he was just brilliant in this because it seemed like they would just kind of let him off his leash a little bit more. I mean, I think probably my favourite role of his would be Shaun of the Dead, closely followed by the sergeant in Hot Fuzz, and that in here he was kind of closer to that, which I thought was brilliant. Paula Patton, who was married to one Robin Thicke, is Jane Carter. I've not seen anything of her before, or to be quite honest, after this. I didn't see that.
She was in the Warcraft movie, but I think she was made up. It was hard to recognise her. But yeah.
She plays Jane Carter, or Agent Carter. The kind of Easter egg there, which I guess they wouldn't have thought about at the time, is that Agent Carter herself appears in the franchise much later on.
Yeah, she does. But
Alex, do you know what I'm talking about?
You can't say too much because Alex hasn't seen them, so it will be a spoiler.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'm just nodding because I'm just watching. I've got gallery up of her, and it's quite distracting. So,
it's quite it's very
Alex,
pretty.
just so you know, we can see what you're looking at in the reflections of your lenses. Just be careful.
Oh, can you now? So I better not put anything else on. Okay. Fair enough.
A physic.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, we'll put his. So
we'll put his OnlyFans
password. We'll put his OnlyFans password in the show notes for anyone that's interested. Jane Carter, a physically capable and emotionally driven agent, she is haunted by the death of her teammate and lover, Agent Trevor Hannaway, who's played in a cameo by Josh Holloway. She trained a lot for this role to make sure that she brought the authenticity that was needed to the combat sequences, and she has a few of them. Michael Nyquist as Kurt Hendricks, this slash Cobalt. So this was really, really bugging me because I was just like, where have I seen him? Where have I seen him? He's not the one that he's not the Skarsgård guy. Oh my god! And then all of a sudden it hit me. Girl with the. Oh yeah, he was.
He's in John Wick,
but also girl with the Swedish girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's Viggo Tarasov in John Wick.
Mm-hmm. The Swedish actor brought quiet menace to the role. I don't know why I started a German accent there. Brought quiet menace to the role of a apocalyptic nuclear theorist. Bird wanted a villain who wasn't cartoonish but was terrifying in his logic. Hendricks' ideology is chilling in its cold rationality, much like one of my favourite villains of all time, Thanos from the Avengers, because he kind of does make sense.
Now, Bobby, right now, I think the best solution for the world would be to snap your fingers and remove half the people. This is the problem.
Yeah.
That's why it makes it so compelling. Yeah.
Moving swiftly on to a little Bond Easter egg, we have Léa Seydoux as Sabine Moreau, a deadly French assassin who kills Hanaway in the film's opening. Her icy presence and calculating performance stood out in what was a brief but very memorable role. She can shoot me anytime.
Yeah, I mean,
We didn't see enough
audio
of her.
listeners, what you missed there was Bobby just checked over his shoulder in case Carolina came in when he said that, and I thought, that was very cute.
Because something went at the door. I think it was one of the dogs, but
Right.
anyway. So yeah, kind of fancied her less after Gene Part 2, because that was all really weird. But anyway, there we go.
But then Silo.
She's very voluptuous in this film, I have to say. Well done, Leia. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a big role for
Yeah.
her. It's not a meaty role, but she did it very well. You believed she was this capable woman, didn't you? And
Yeah.
a nice bit of an ice maiden, as you said.
Yeah. While we're talking about casting, so some things you might not, a couple that you might not know, they originally were looking at Harrison Ford for the role of the villain in Ghost Protocol.
Really?
But yeah, they were. But then I think they decided that he couldn't possibly play anyone or be believable as anyone evil
He's
because we all love
possibly
Harrison
right.
Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's
Um,
Red Hulk.
I've not seen
Oh,
that
I
film
haven't
yet.
seen that yet. Shut up.
No,
I've not seen that.
Yeah.
no, no one's seen it yet. But he's Red Hulk.
No.
You've not seen it too either, Alex?
No, I've not seen it
No,
either.
I'm waiting for it to come to Disney Plus because,
It's coming out. It's coming out
you know, Marvel.
at some point. Normally it's Easter, so I'm going to keep an eye out for it because
Yeah.
these are the things normally, unless they're sort of dragging it out because they don't want you to cancel your Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah.
I saw it pop up on Plex. So
Did you now? Oh, okay.
yeah. Anyway, and the other interesting one was the role of the secretary. They wanted Gene Hackman. I mean, to the point where when they built the models to simulate the car crashing into the river thing, the model they used for the secretary basically looked like Gene Hackman. They really wanted Gene Hackman for this, which would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Gene Hackman, so there we go. And then Bollywood superstar Anil Kapoor,
Oh, yeah.
of the Kapoor acting dynasty, absolutely massive star in Bollywood. I mean, I'd seen all of his films when I was a kid,
Wasn't he in
because my mum would.
Slumdog Millionaire as well?
He was, yeah, he
He
was
was
in
the host of the
Slumdog.
show, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He's very good in
yeah,
it.
he
He's
was.
very kind of like greasy, slimy host, isn't he? He's very good in that.
Yeah. But he's massive Bollywood heartthrob, very prolific career particularly through the 80s and the 90s. So yeah, there we go. On to plot. So I thought this was the most enjoyable in terms of kind of credible plot. There was still some complexity to it, so it didn't feel like a dumb action movie. But and it was all pretty plausible as well because the villain's motivations were, look, humanity needs a reset, and this is the way to do it. And I'm sure that there
Again.
are people that.
Well, again, thinking of Thanos, again, his philosophy of this film seems a little bit more appropriate than it has done in recent times when I watched it again.
It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
But then it's the method that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could say the same thing about tariffs,
Yeah.
but we won't. We'll keep away from that.
The film opens in Budapest, and originally this was meant to be a much, much longer sequence taking place on an ice lake, which had its own problems. The studio then told them that they weren't going to get the budget to do all of that because it involves snowmobiles and so on. And also, they felt that it didn't kind of work because it was too long a period for a mission film to go without any Ethan.
Yeah.
So they cut it down quite a lot to what we actually see in the film, and I think that was just right. Because we don't want anything really long-winded for the beginning of a mission film, do we? I mean, now we get the obligatory whatever the signature stunt, or Tom
Yeah.
Cruise doing something absolutely ridiculous before the opening credits. Spoiler alert, Alex. Sorry, um, but yeah, it did everything that it needed to do. Alex, I'm kind of morbidly interested and fascinated by your reaction to pretty much this entire movie. So what I probably should have done is plan this as an interview with you. We might do that for all the rest of them. Um, but how were you kind of leaning forward in your seat, in the proverbial sense, because you might not physically do that when you're watching films that excite you, but how are you feeling through the first sort of 10, 15 minutes of this?
So, I think it's worth saying that like Mission Impossible 3 was the most stressful like 90 minutes, 2 hours I've spent watching it. I don't know why, but it had me on nerves like the entire time, and I watched it and it was very compelling, but I wasn't like I was just like, oh, thank God it's done now. Oh my God, that's what a relief. And one of the things that's different about this one is I didn't feel stressed about the whole situation, despite the fact that it's pretty dire and all this stuff's happening. I could see what what they had to do. It kept getting worse. It kept getting really dire. They kept getting put in awful situations, and so it wasn't that the entire situation was so compelling. Instead, it was all of the moments, like all of the action pieces and how they get there, and all of that drove me through it. And we'll obviously come on to the Burj scenes later, but it was like, and it's each of those moments, and I was just like, oh, this is interesting, and it was like, whoa, and every time I went through this particular one, I really enjoyed it. There were times where I was just like, my heart was fluttering because of the vertigo, or just the situation, or even just the fact that like Cruise keeps hurling himself off of places, and so you just kind of hold your breath a little bit while he's plunging
Alex,
down.
I really felt for his shit. I'm sure his shit's got a proper beating in this film, because there are a number of times he banged into things, and like I'd been proper whingy about it afterwards, and he was like, "Whatevs,"
There was proper like oof when he lands and everything, and you really did like feel that, which was really cool. But it was such so that was what was so different about it for me. Like is that it's the enjoyable nature of it had been introduced again. And I think some of that was to do with the comedy relief that we had, both from what's his face,
Benji.
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg, yeah, but also from Jeremy Renner, because actually I think together they paired quite nicely, and so it's like that lightened it up a lot. But also it was just the fact that it was like you were on a ride and it just kept going. But you didn't feel like it dragged things on too long, and also it didn't feel like it played too hard on things. There was obviously emotions, there was obviously things going on, but it wasn't so dark that the consequences were obviously quite huge. But the thing is, everyone knows that CGI CGI like bombs landing and stuff don't hit you emotionally. Like they're just it's like Superman, Batman versus Superman. It's like that whole CGI fight like meant nothing emotionally, because you were like, well, we don't know any of those people, they don't mean anything to us. And so that was the thing. That bit wasn't the thing. But seeing someone like Cruise just like plunging down hundreds of feet or whatever, that had me going each time, and that's what made it watchable. So yeah, I wish I'd seen this at the cinema. No, actually I really do, because I think it was really good.
Yeah, and and again, I think all of what you've described there is testament to Tom Cruise, his vision, his dedication. and his goal for every single movie. He's always thinking audience first, and authenticity, which is why he is so. I mean, aside from the fact he's an adrenaline junkie, and productions like this just give him an excuse to live out his wildest dreams and so on. But you know, he's always thinking audience first, and I think that really helps. I mean, definitely, I think the Mission films really influenced the later Daniel Craig Bond films, um, because obviously Daniel Craig, as we know, did a few of his own sort of stunts. I mean, certainly No Time to Die at the grand old age of 50, 51, or whatever he was when he did that one. I mean, in that opening kind of sequence after Vesper's grave explodes, the stunt work that Daniel Craig did in that was absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, sorry, we're not here to talk about him. And also taking a cue from Tom Cruise, Paula Patton and Lea Seydoux, they decided to kiss goodbye to their stunt doubles, and for that fight in the Burj Khalifa, they did that all themselves. Um, and that really worked because that's the first time I've actually even wondered if they did use stunt doubles or not. So there we go. They didn't.
I wonder how the unions
That's what we
felt
want.
about Tom Cruise doing all this himself, though. But they're a bit
I
upset.
don't think I think the very fact that the first thing when the titles come up, it says a Tom Cruise production.
Yeah, I don't think he minds too
So
much.
I don't think Tom gives a shit.
Apparently, when the insurers told him he couldn't climb the Burj Khalifa and film that sequence, he sacked them and got a new insurer who would allow him to do that. So he's pretty. Yeah, I don't think you mess with Tom Cruise, do you? Really? To be fair.
No. So from the
What a
Budapest,
story,
though,
though. What a story.
yeah,
Just
from
like
the
getting a new stunt company.
from the opening in Budapest to the prison break in Moscow. So we do finally, well, we see a shadowy figure in prison throwing a rock, not against a wall, not one wall, but two or three walls, I think, which was a direct homage to Steve McQueen in The Great Escape when he's throwing his baseball um, against the wall in prison. But yeah, this is. Oh God, sorry, my new lock M2. We're not sponsored, by the way. I bought this with my own money. Just hit my keyboard. So yeah. So Ethan is broken out of a Moscow prison to the tune of Dean Martin singing whatever that song is. Ain't that a kick in the head? And this was delightful
It
to
reminded me of The
watch.
Last Boy Scout a little bit. You know,
I
the
need to
film
watch that film again. The one with
great film. Richard E.
yeah, with
Grant
Bruce
and
Willis.
Bruce Willis. Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched it
yeah.
recently. It's very good. It's a lovely film. Didn't do very well, but it's very clever. It
Yeah,
reminded me
no,
of that because
I
they were timing it based on the song, weren't they? Which is exactly what they do. Is the heists? They have a whole. They sing them in their heads as their timer. It's really clever.
yeah, well, they choreographed it and did all the timing as if it was a
Mm.
musical number,
Yeah,
basically. And that really, really worked. And I love Tom Cruise's silent act into camera, where he's basically Simon Pegg's talking at him, but he's basically just like
yeah. Getting angry when
almost,
Peg says
you know,
no.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, the conductor, and one of his orchestras not doing what he's supposed to be doing. But yeah, no, it was absolutely fantastic. Again, Alex, like you know, having sat through the first three, just talk us through what Alex was doing during the whole prison break thing. Were you laughing? Were you having a great time?
So it's really hard not to laugh. I think the comedy that it injects in this, that, I mean, it just sets the tone, doesn't it? But I just thought it was really funny, and Amy was watching it with me, and she was just like, what is all this comedy that's come in? And I was just like, yeah, but enjoy it. It's nice. It's good. It's good fun. And I think that's really important because I think that's one of the things that was missing from some of the early ones, as well as like competence in the second one. But anyway, but I just think that it lightened the whole experience of the prison break, Was it too much? Possibly, because actually, there wasn't really any concern that he was going to get out at all. But it was something that just kind of set the tone, and I just appreciated it.
They must have had some fun casting.
Well, Brad Bird's
prisoners,
objective.
surely. All those prisoners are really interesting.
Oh God, yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad Bird's objective, Alex, for that sequence was basically he wanted to show that mission films could be fun as well as intense. So I'd say from what you've described that Brad hit the mark, right?
He did. Yeah, no, he absolutely did. And it made what was good about it was it did set the tone. But also it's just nice to see things not going well. And I think it kind of also set the tone for Benji, because initially we hadn't had a lot of experience with Benji doing, and so it gave him a place to say, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not, and it made it interesting. There's obviously a power dynamic, and obviously the dynamic is he doesn't have any power, but that's not the point. But it just lightened the whole thing. And I think that was really important. Does it get annoying later on? Does Benji get a bit whiny? Yes, he does. I think he does. But I still think it's a good way of starting. I think it was fine. Like you disagree with me there, Bobby? You think it's just...
I think the problem with these films, although I can't talk about it. Can we put Alex on mute somehow so he can't hear us, John?
Yeah, okay, Alex.
I think
take my earphones off.
No. I'm kidding. We won't do it. We won't. But I think John,
All right.
John, look into the camera. I'm going to try and mind meld with you now. Benji, stress later on. I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Alex, remember that. I mean, not remember that. Remember what you said to me. But anyway, whatever. So
Right.
from the prison break in Moscow, we go to the bombing of the Kremlin, and so Ethan and Benji. So they're in the van. He gets his mission briefing through the payphone,
So
and then basically says he's got right. We're gonna get into the Kremlin, and Benji's like, sorry, I thought you said the Kremlin. Oh, right. Okay. But what did you think of the tech that they used? So they basically used like a projector screen to sort of project an image of the end of the hallway, so that Ethan
you're
and Benji
taking
can then get
You're
down
taking my
there.
spot,
Actually,
Bobby.
this
I'm just gonna
idea.
say-
Do you want to park this to Gadget?
No, don't worry. We can talk
This
about
idea,
it. It's
this
fine.
idea, this screen was actually used in the original series. It was an episode called The Falcon Part 3.
Oh,
So it is actually
okay.
based on an original Mission Impossible. Done way better, obviously. An iPad with Unreal running on it and a camera and so on. Very, very clever.
yeah.
It was very well done, and what was nice about it was it was
Believable.
done very, very good. Like, it was really well done. So you could believe it, and then obviously later on it messes up, and you're like, oh, come on. But in the moment, I think it was really good.
When we get
Yeah,
to
and also
gadgets,
there's little-
Alex, I'm sorry.
We will.
There's
Don't worry. I'll
When we
I'll
get
talk
to
about that
Gadget,
later.
there's something I want to point out to see if you noticed as well.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
I'd
Okay.
love to talk about that. Yep.
yeah.
There were nice little kind of Easter eggs in there, like when Benji, sort of his you got a big Benji head projected
so
out when it's
funny.
looking into the thing,
a
which
little
was the
meerkat.
Brad Bird. Yeah, which was the Brad Bird thing, which obviously that sort of sense of humor from his animation days, right? I thought was brilliant, and also they wanted to show that nothing was perfect, that there were always things that could go wrong. So when the other guards come into view, because obviously the thing then it basically can't
Tracking
work
their
out
eyes.
it's tracking their eyes and can't work out whose perspective, and then it just starts to glitch all over the place. So that was also pretty cool. They
Wouldn't have happened that way, but that's fine.
Yeah, and also because I was expecting them to use masks, and there was little to no mask use in this film, which I was really, really pleased
I know
about.
why
Because
they
I
did that. I know why they did that, though.
Go on then.
Because
Oh,
Benji was so het up on the whole mask thing. Like, he wanted to. So the whole thing was like a sort of, like a putting the knife in and twisting it for Benji. Like, and later, again, I wanted to point something out later about the gadgets. But we'll come to that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Alex, remember your gadget run through is just a run through. We don't need a deep dive into
I
every
think we
single
do.
gadget.
We do in this one. We do.
No, we don't.
no, don't worry. It's fairly simple, but there are a lot. That's all I'm going to say. And
When
it's not
Don't worry,
exhaustive. Don't worry.
I'll be spending less time with my cruise schmooze. Don't worry.
Yeah, because there isn't any.
Balance it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then you will have a bit of time on the whole keep on running thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Ethan, I keep wanting to call him Tom, when Ethan escapes from the Kremlin, he has this quick change where he's out of the uniform and suddenly transforms into a Joe American tourist, and the costume designer said that basically they thought it would be quite fun to make it a breakaway sort of costume suit so that he could do it really quick. Apparently they rehearsed that quite a few times, but Tom Cruise hit the mark every single time, which again is such a professional. Exactly. They had to get permission to use the Bruce Springsteen t-shirt, Born in the USA t-shirt. But the reason that t-shirt actually belonged to one of the crew members. And the reason Tom Cruise wanted that t-shirt is he said to the production team, the UK's got James Bond, America's got Ethan Hunt. So there we go. And then the explosion that follows.
Modest as always. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's great.
But I mean, he's kind of right in a way. The explosion that follows was performed against the blue screen with Tom Cruise doing the running, and then the subsequent getting pulled on a wire and yanked completely forward.
The explosion and the smoke, to be fair, was probably the least authentic thing of the film, in my opinion. It was very obviously composited in, and that's fine. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
I mean, was it 2011? Explosions are way better than they are now in films, but at the time it's still quite an effective scene, isn't it? I think more effective.
Oh yeah.
On the ground when they show those sort of, and the televisions in the hospital, the kind of the point of view. Tourist shots. That was way more authentic. I thought that was very clever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other nice thing is because it happens really quick, and they cut away quite quickly when the explosion happens, and then we go to hospital, and Ethan's in hospital. He's pretty banged up, and that's the other thing I quite like about his character in this is that it shows that he's not like a completely invincible Superman. He does hurt, and when he does get hurt, it's not like it disappears in 5 seconds like it did with Daniel Craig's cut on his head in Casino Royale. It stays with him a while. Which it would do in
surprise, actually.
Really,
because we were having so much fun with Benji and the whole Kremlin thing. And then, yes, obviously they split off, and it did. So it did take me quite by surprise when it was like, oh wow, no, he's probably not well now. Oh, okay, and that was good because it kind of just put me back where I needed to be. But it was great. I can't fault that. I thought it was great.
Yeah. So he manages to get out of the hospital, escapes by going out onto a window ledge and then jumping off onto the top of a van or an ambulance and then onto the floor. Did you see the way he landed? It was a proper professional, I mean, if it was any of us, we'd have just bounced off and then probably splattered ourselves.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good roll. Yeah, exactly. Apparently he did hurt himself, though, doing that.
I'm not surprised because there's not a lot of room for,
he's barefoot, isn't he?
Clothes.
So,
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well is that he's, 2 or 3 floors up? And kind of nervously, should I jump into that dumpster or not? I love the humour, though, with the Russian guy lighting a cigarette and, You know,
that was
Who did he
brilliant.
remind me of? He reminded me of a character from another film. He reminded me of the police officer in Lucy.
so he is
Does that make
Vlad.
sense?
Yeah,
No,
his
I don't
name.
mean the actor. I mean the character. Reminded me of the
Oh, okay.
policeman character who in Lucy, you know, the Scarlett Johansson film where she takes those mind-altering drugs and becomes this superhuman thinker. He's kind of the same relationship where at the beginning of the film he thinks she's the bad person, but at the end they kind of become allies. It was an interesting dynamic, which you don't often get in Mission Impossible films, do you? Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's more,
and it
reminded
was
me
nice
of
actually.
the Pam Jason relationship in Born Supremacy, the second film as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So, what was I going to say before you got interrupted?
Jumping off a building.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So what I was
Yeah,
I was
that's
going so I was saying to Caroline, I was like, why is he so nervous when he's 3 floors up? When in Mission Impossible 2, he's free flipping, climbing, hanging off the edge of a cliff. But anyway, there we go.
He's getting a bit older.
Continuity error.
He's getting older.
There
He's
were-
no longer immortal. You know, when you're young and you feel immortal, he's older now, and he's more. You know, he's not gadding about as much, putting it out to all the women. You know, he's a bit more restrained, and he's just a bit more, you know, looking after himself. We've all been there, Bobby. You know, I went skiing this week, and for the first time, approaching the top of the Blacks, looking over, I was a little bit butterflies in my stomach before I went over. You know, we all get there. We all get old and less immortal. You know, that's what it is.
So for our viewers at home, when he said approaching the top of the Blacks, he meant black runs on a ski
That's
slope,
right, yes.
not black people.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
No,
So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. Anyway,
Thanks for highlighting.
I've got a
that.
game
Thank you,
recommendation.
you're
for
welcome,
that.
because you don't know, we might suddenly get
No,
a
you're
pylon in the comments, and you know,
okay,
it,
fair enough,
like
yeah.
you know,
Black
you almost
run.
did yourself 2 things on this podcast. Bloody
Yes.
hell. Anyway, so
Well, the podcast is young. We've got plenty of time, haven't we?
Yeah.
well, we've got time for you to get up, turn around, and do your usual Mooney at
I'm
the
not
camera.
going to. No, it's not. I'm staying where I am today.
He escapes, manages to get some clothes, and now that iconic sort of hoodie that was used in all the promotion for the film and the movie poster. He meets up with the secretary, who's played by Tom Wilkinson. As I said before, they wanted Gene Hackman for that role. And he's briefed that the IMF has been completely shut down because they've been blamed for the Russian bombing. And Ethan's team is now officially rogue. So they initiated Ghost Protocol,
I have a question.
which means that... Oh, go on then.
So how did bad guy Hendricks? How did he know that the IMF were going in? Because he set them up, didn't he? That's the bit that confused me. He obviously set them up with that British accent radio message saying "Go, team is go," which set kind of set up.
Yeah.
How did he know IMF were involved in the first place? How did he know?
That's a really,
must be a mole.
really good question.
So I mean, but there was no reference to a mole, was there? Unless
No,
there's, like,
there isn't. But there must
members
be
of the
something.
syndicate in the IMF that we don't know about in this film. I
I
don't know.
don't know about that.
It bugged me a little bit how
Not
he
yet.
knew.
You can't really talk too much about that.
No,
You
exactly.
can't really
about
talk
that
too
next
much
time.
about that because Alex doesn't know about it. Yeah.
Is it like a Spectre? That they
Kind
just
of,
drop
yeah.
it in. They just
Yeah,
drop
yeah.
it in at the middle of it and just go. Well, of course. And okay.
Yeah.
I've got that.
Yeah,
now,
the syndicate is a Spectre type thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool. But then, so this is where we first meet Jeremy Renner's character, Brandt. He just seems to come across as one of those irritating CIA types who's got no backbone whatsoever. But little do we know, because by the end of the film, I actually really liked him. But the secretary gets killed horrifically. It's quite dark in moments, this as well. I mean, he gets shot in the bloody head.
Yeah.
And then,
Quick.
and then the car crashes into the river, so Brandt and Ethan have to escape. And this is where you realise, now knowing that Renner was kind of potentially being, I was going to say the word groomed.
Hold on.
Renner
I've got
was...
a question about this scene. Right?
Oh, God, here we go.
Who shot the car? Who were those guys?
They were Russian people.
They
But
work
no,
for Hendrix.
because
They
no,
work
because
for Hendrix, yeah.
no, are you sure? Because the Russian policeman came down and they were his team saying they was telling him to stop. So why
Oh no! They were Russian police
they were?
because
Why would the Russian
because he was
police shoot and assassinate the American secretary? Do you see what I'm saying?
well because the thing is they were doing that because
No,
of the bombing on
there's
the
no rational
Kremlin.
reason. Yes, but they wouldn't kill all the main suspects. Do you see
No,
what I'm
well,
saying?
you're right. Yeah, that's true.
It's
'Cause
another loophole.
they didn't try and knock him off the road or anything. They just that was it. It's gone.
Were they Spetsnaz or something like that rather than the police? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, were they just
know.
being a bit, as you said, a bit touchy about their Kremlin being blown up and went for it? I don't know. But why would they? Why would you not catch the guy that bombed the Kremlin? It just really bugged me. Sorry. Carry on. As you were.
Who was Izarov? Was Izarov the guy that
Sidorov, you mean?
Sidorov? Yeah, was he the guy that Tom Cruise was pretending to be when he went into the Kremlin?
No, Sidorov was the guy he was talking to with a cigarette on the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
Mantelpiece on the ledge.
Because apparently it was his guys that killed them.
Yes, but they didn't have police issue
Yeah.
weapons either. They all had like machine guns and
Yeah,
That's true, actually. Yeah, they did. They were like well over armed for anyone working, even for the secret police.
for the
who
Russian
wouldn't run
intelligence.
around with
Perhaps.
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, don't know. But they were treating it like an act of war, I guess. I guess that's what they
yeah.
were.
It could have been the KGB or FS. No, who's FSB? I don't know. Anyway, we don't know. But quite frankly, we didn't care because we were more worried about how Ethan and the new guy were going to get out.
Another thing about this scene, right? Okay, is I have watched a film somewhere where someone gets shot in a car and the car goes in the water and they're underwater and there are people shooting in the water. This is the second film in 2 days I've seen this happen, both Bourne and this, right? I've seen a film somewhere where the protagonist uses the air from the tyre to stay alive underwater. So every time I watch these scenes, I think,
Yeah,
oh,
which oh
Which
my
film was
God, what
that?
film was that? Yeah, and it was proven that is not a thing.
I know, because Mythbusters
No,
tested
you'd
it,
just
didn't they?
be supping.
Adam
You'd
from
just be
Mythbusters, that's
drinking
it.
water and
Which film was
You'd
it?
just be
Because every
drinking
time I
water
see these
in
films,
there,
I think,
wouldn't
oh yeah, Ethan's going to go and suck some air from them. Oh yeah, Jason's going to go and suck some. They never do. They just sort of hang around underwater until everyone goes away and survive. It's going to bug me. Listeners, if you know the answer, write it in the comments below. Put us out of our misery. Put three old men out of their misery. Sorry?
The Transporter
No.
3.
No,
Yeah.
surely
oh no,
not.
okay.
Transporter 3. Frank Martin survives underwater by sucking air from his car's tyres.
Is it though?
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen the
it
Transporter
is.
3.
In 2008.
That was before. Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
There you
know.
go.
I don't think that's right. I think it's another film that I've seen that's done that as well. So if you think you know the
Okay.
answer, leave a comment. That's what I want to know. There was someone out there who knows.
Yes. Yeah,
Sorry.
we need someone out there who's listened this far in.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe I could
Sorry,
with a
guys.
double decker if they answer. Who knows? Poor-
So from so then Brant and Hunt they managed to get onto an IMF train, don't they?
Yeah, that's
Where
funny
they
too.
meet up with Benji and yeah, that's right. Because I was wondering what's he doing. Then he's trying to like do the eye
that's
scanner
eye
thing
scans,
as well. Yeah, and then they get onto the train and it's like that's it. That's all that's left of the IMF.
Such a good scene.
Yeah. And from there, they end up in Dubai, Burj Khalifa. By the way, in between this, because there's obviously the train fight, and Paula Patton's character, Agent Carter, she kills that guy with a knife. So originally, because she gets the information from him, doesn't she? Originally, she basically opened his chest up and then she puts her hand in his chest cavity and then she pumps his heart to keep him alive to get the information before letting go and letting him die.
It would lose its
So
rating, wouldn't it? if
they-
do that, though?
So for two reasons they ditched it. The first reason was that it was a bit too gory. And the second, and so what they did, they then tried to cut away from the gore to just her, but pumping his heart off camera, but it looked really sexual.
Too much.
It literally looked like she was
Yeah, 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 yeah,
bonking him.
yeah, yeah.
So in the end, they just decided to do what we get in the actual film, which is that she stabs him, and then it basically cuts away. She's got the information, and we're just left to put two and two together and assume that she tortured him horribly to get that info. And I think that worked much, much better in the final result. So yeah, there we go. And on to the Burj Khalifa. So we get our first bit of humour because so there's going to be a meet with Leia Seydoux character who's, selling the nuclear launch code in exchange for diamonds. So there's all these shenanigans with taking control. They need to take control of the security system and the lifts and cameras and stuff. What?
Sorry, but just these scenes here where they're etching the new door numbers on and they're using two different floors, again felt really authentic Mission Impossible. Like this it really feels like Brad Bird and the team have really thought about what can we lift from the series, what can we lift from the soul of Mission Impossible, but make it an exciting, pacey film. And I think the more I think about it, the cleverer they are at getting this. Again, maybe we'll discuss it later on why Brad Bird no longer carried on as the director. But I just think what a great job he did, considering it was his only one. Very impressed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, don't forget, Chris McQuarrie was there.
He was on the team. Yeah, he was on the team.
He was on the team.
He was put that line in. The line of where Brandt says, "Next time, I get to seduce the Indian guy." I think Chris McQuarrie put that line in. I think Chris McQuarrie also supported Tom Cruise when they put the throwing the rock against the wall thing in the prison scene. That was all kind of a last minute addition. So he was obviously dipping in here and there with his own influence.
Yeah, he was brought in to rewrite the script basically, and then Tom Cruise asked him to stay. McHugh, as he lovingly calls him. If anyone saw the recent comic, was it MovieCon? Christopher McQuarrie was awarded with Director of the Year, and Tom Cruise gave a very impassioned speech about his longtime collaborator and friend. Go watch it on YouTube. I might, if I remember, put the link in the show notes for you as well. But it brought a tear to my eye, it did. So yeah, but this is before we get the big action set piece. So they work out that to access the server, they need to go from the outside of the building. They can't do it from the inside. And this is where we get off, like one of the funniest moments in the film, basically, where, Ethan turns around and is like, "I'm sorry, what?" And then Benji's like, "Don't look at me, I've got to do the computer stuff." And then Brandt just says, referring to an earlier comment, "Well, I'm just a helper."
Yeah, that's
And then Ethan's like, "How far up is it?" "Oh, it's like the 120th floor."
Yeah.
130. Oh my God.
Oh.
And then that's it. We just get one of the most thrilling action set pieces you're ever going to see in cinema ever. It was amazing. And there's lots and lots of stories about how that was done. They got permission. They asked the people at the Burj if they could take one window out, and eventually they relented, and they said yes. And then as production went along, they said, "Could we take another couple of windows out?" In the end, they ended up taking out 37 windows.
37.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they had to replace them, obviously, exactly as they were. There's another funny anecdote. One of the crew members tells that, and it goes to, Tom Cruise and his dedication to just about everything that the audience is going to see. But there was a smear on, like a handprint on one of the panes of glass that he needs to run past. And so the crew are like, "Oh, we're setting up for another take. Like, where's Tom?" And then they look round, and Tom Cruise is literally there on his harnesses outside cleaning the window. And the only thing they were really disappointed about was the fact that no cameras were rolling at the time. But yeah, anyway, there we go. But that took a lot of work to set up because they had to work out so much. Like the helicopters, how close they could get, because obviously
Yeah.
you've got the draft that's created by
I
the
mean,
propellers
Tom
and so on. And
was all harnessed up and cabled up in that scene. Apparently, the only thing that could have killed him was a plane flying into the side of the building. He was so safe.
Mm.
But
Wow.
they've done a really good job of making it look like he's, that the way where he swings back with the hose and then lets go. It's a cracking scene. How they've done that. Very, very clever.
Apparently, during sort of moments where they were trying to set other things up inside, they would suddenly hear a massive whoop, and Tom Cruise would just go flying past in the harness, and then there'd be a bang, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, we've just lost our star. He's dead." And then they look out the window, and he'd come back the other way again, like whooping. It's like a kid in an adventure playground. Oh, bless him.
Can we
Um,
talk about suits?
we
Very
can,
nice.
but
They all
very
come.
nice
They all
suits.
come to the Burj Khalifa in
Yeah.
very sharp suits. Even Benji does.
okay. So
And then Jeremy Renner just whacks. Literally, it really upset me. He gets in. They all unboxing stuff. Renner takes off his jacket and just screws it up in a ball on the floor. I was like, no, hang it up. We'll put it on the back of a chair, you Philistine.
Yeah.
Really upset me. I thought of you,
Yeah.
Bobby, when I saw him do that. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't actually bothered by it, but
It bothered me.
we will talk about suits, but not just yet. So hold your jets. I just want to get through the kind of main bits to the end, and then you can then do your bits, and I'll go and make a cup of tea.
Thanks, mate.
From
Milk,
the
no sugar, thanks.
the other bit that I absolutely love from this film is that little bit where Benji's showing Ethan how the gloves work.
Yeah.
And Ethan
yeah.
goes, "Sorry, what's the thing again?" And it's like, blue is glue, and red, dead. But it was just done so well. Now that actually came from Christopher McQuarrie, because they had a longer explanation about how the gloves worked and the lighting system, and Christopher McQuarrie came up with the red is dead, basically.
But that's how you would explain it among two mates in a situation where they've got like 35 minutes before the people arrive. You just go, yeah, this is what this means. Yeah, you have a little joke about it, wouldn't you? It was very real. It felt real. It was good and funny.
Yeah,
as well.
it was just so well delivered as
Yeah.
well, and yeah. You see the beginnings of that relationship between Tom
good
Cruise
friends,
and
aren't they?
Simon Pegg as well. They're very good friends in real life now. Yeah, they are. But also Brant, he had his fair share of
did, yeah.
sort of
Oh,
little.
when he's stretching before he goes down into the server room, he's putting
It's
off
when we
medals.
get.
It's so funny.
That's it. Yeah, so that's in the next sequence when they go
Yeah.
to Mumbai, which is kind of the final mission. So the team travels to Mumbai to prevent the nuclear launch. Brant fights his way through a giant turbine shaft, and this whole thing, I was worried for him, but I was laughing so much at the same time because it's like,
comedy.
when okay, yeah, blah blah blah, you're going to do this, this, and that, and Benji's just like, yeah, and I'll catch you. And then he goes back to sort of programming his little robot and stuff.
Benji, is it safe? Yeah, probably. Brilliant.
Yeah. So you're going to do this. You're going to do that. Blah. So right, and then, like, there's risk of me dying, and so yeah, but don't worry, I'll catch you. And then the limbering up before he jumps down.
Yeah,
You're right, John. It was hilarious. It's like Ethan in contrast is like,
Yeah.
bang,
I'll go.
off I go, and this guy's like. I don't know if I could have jumped.
However,
But then it was so great the way that,
it was still the trademark hang and drop, wasn't it? That they've had in every film.
yeah,
Yeah.
So they did
Yeah,
it, even though
exactly.
it was Ethan. That was quite funny.
yeah. So we know they've done it in Mission 1.
Yeah.
They definitely, Mission 3, we know they did it at the Vatican. They've done it here in Mumbai. Where was Mission 2? Did he have one in Mission... did he have one in Mission 2?
I don't think he did.
I'll
in
have to
2,
look that
but
one up.
3 was the one where he went over the. He had the
Vatican, yeah.
descender that went to the garden, didn't he? So that's right. But no, I don't think he did in 2.
No. The parking garage at the end of this, that wasn't in Mumbai. That was actually a parking garage that was in Germany.
Germany, yeah.
And it's a real thing. Some guy built it. It's all automated, moves cars around and all the rest of it. again, so they had Nyquist on and Cruise on wires for that. Nyquist more than Cruise, and Cruise did actually genuinely hurt himself doing all of the stuff that he did in there as well.
He has
And
to
that,
do
you
one
know,
better, doesn't he? He's
yeah.
always got to do one better.
And then so they prevent nuclear disaster with literally seconds to spare. And then we have a nice little sort of ending scene with Ethan sort of doing his little debrief with all of the team, finding out, letting Brant know that in actual fact Julia's still alive. And then we have that beautiful moment where Liz turns up and,
That was
you know,
really good.
they
That was really
they
good.
see each other and it's like
So nice.
they could never been together, but she's always protected. And Ethan's line to Brant as well. It was never your. It was never your job to protect her. It was always mine.
I thought it was a good way of
That got me.
good way of doing it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very a very nice way of doing it, rather than just like, because when you realise that she died, you're like, whoa, okay, you know, that's been skirted over a bit. So it was nice to sort of conclude it at the end.
So I think the time has come for. No, let's do the quick one first. John and his cruise schmooze,
Well,
and keep on running. Over to
I've got my
you.
cruise schmooze and my running with Tom. Well, I mean, there was no schmooze, was there? I mean, there was Tom. Tom was much more of a.
There was a
father
kiss.
doing this. There was a kiss with Miss Carter, young Miss
Agent Carter.
But apart from that, he was very chaste in this film, and I thought for the better actually. He's growing as a character, and I think I respected him for it more. And it is a sign of the times. And I think maybe Mission Impossible trying to distance himself from the Bond kind of, the Bond veneer. So no, there was no transgression from Ethan in this film. However, the running here, I found three. Maybe you can find more, but there was his funny run leaving the Kremlin before the bomb explodes, where he's running away from the. He realizes the bomb's dropping behind him. He runs. There's chasing Hendrik in his mask with the codes. When he's got the sandstorm all around him. He's wearing the goggles. He's chasing Hendrik, and then he's chasing Hendrix again to the high tech car park where he's running. Oh, he's left the I-8.
I was doing the sandstorm music. Did you not get that?
No, I did not get that. Sorry.
Right. How have you only got three? Dude, he runs from the beginning of the bloody. He runs in every set piece.
Yeah, but
he runs.
But we need the funny run. The run with his arms doing that. You had a go at me earlier on in our podcast for describing funny runs that weren't funny runs. So I've just gone for his trademark funny run rather than a normal sprint. Okay, he's got his Scientology serious face on, and he's got his arms waggling like that, and that's for him. That's his funny run. If you can think of any more, then by all means correct me. But that's
I mean, he sort of runs in the prison. He runs outside the Kremlin and then the explosion happens.
I got that one. Yes,
it's not a funny run. Okay,
the Kremlin one's a funny one. Chasing Hendrik in the sand's a funny run, and chasing him to the high tech car park at the end is a funny run. So it's actually only three. So keeping it short and sweet. But we'll see what happens in the next films.
Alex. Yeah, thank you, Alex. Gadget time. Do it.
Did you not like my Darude reference? Yeah, okay. Later on, right, once this is finished, do a Google for Darude sandstorm, and then you'll understand, because it's like people running with a briefcase. Maybe it's a bit, too millennial for you both, but
maybe.
Anyway, okay, that's fine.
Fine. Gadget
let's
run
get
down.
on to mine then, shall we? Yeah. So there's. I'm not impressed.
It's late.
Here. It's late. Yeah. There's quite a few here. I'm going to.
I've got to edit all this bloody stuff. The more stuff you not mention, the more I have to find clips, request copyright permission, find images, etc., and insert the bloody things in. Okay, so just get on with it.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect you to put it in, but you could do. Anyway, so there's quite a lot. I'm going to run through it. If I miss any, please let me know, John.
I will.
You're good at spotting these. I'm sure you will. So it starts off. There's a fair bit here. So it starts off in Budapest with the Josh Holloway's character with his throwdown mat that he throws down and then shoots while he gets caught by that. I thought that was pretty cool. I was quite pleased by that. So we'll skip over the contact lenses because they come back later on anyway. But the contact lenses, them messaging to the iPhone a little bit sus. We'll come on to that later on. Then we get to Moscow and the prison break, which I loved. So that was all good. The ultrasonic drill was quite cool. Did you like that?
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite. Again,
That was very
one really
cool.
explains it.
Sci-fi.
I particularly loved. Yeah. I particularly loved the fact that he pulls. I can't remember his name now, but the character that he brings along.
Bagdan or something his name, isn't it? Or Baglan or
Bogdan.
Yeah. So he brings him, and he's just like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Pull it away." Well, and then just about gets shot. So again, the timing was brilliant here. It was really good. So anyway, that was quite cool. Did you like the reference though? Did you spot that the reference though? After that was light the fuse, and then the intro sequence went through. Yeah. That was very slick. I was like, oh yeah, I see what you've done there. That was nice. Anyway, let's carry on. So talking about the smart contact lenses, they're a bit different. So it seemed to change throughout the film. So at the start, they just seem to buzz the iPhone. And then other times you actually see a whole heads-up thing in there, which was a little bit sus. So yeah, that one's a little bit inconsistent.
Is it the same?
But
Is that contact lens the same as the one that Brand uses to photograph and print?
No, they're different contact lenses.
They're different. Okay.
Yeah, then they're different contact lenses. Obviously, why would they be?
Sorry.
Why would they not be?
Oh, goodness me.
Why would you create two models of contact lenses? I would have used the same model again and again. Anyway, but there we go. So yeah, that's a little bit suspect because the thing is that he uses it in the thing is, and this is my plot hole, is that basically Hanaway in the station, he has a heads-up display, and then when he gets shot, he doesn't, and so that's my.
He could have just detected her straight away, couldn't it?
Yeah, instead he gets buzzed, and like anyone that gets a notification, you stop what you're doing and look down and don't pay any attention. So that's what. So that's a good benefit for having the heads-up display in your contact. Anyway, Apple was busy, weren't they? This was very Apple heavy, like very Apple. So iPhone 4's got a reference initially. Oh, look at all the stickers he's got there. That's cute.
You can't get stickers anymore.
No.
But I've got friends.
Nice ones as well. They've got really nice patterns.
I've got friends at the Apple store. Sorted me out.
They like you, Bobby. You must have loyalty on them.
If anyone wants to bid on these.
Alex, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was edited completely on a Mac Pro trash can connected to a DNX IQ box using a 48 terabyte Avid Nexus for network storage.
Was it really?
Yeah, they used LG monitors, two of them, 21 by 9 inch monitors.
Yeah.
They used a Razer Naga gaming mouse and a 32 terabyte G-Speed Q-Raid, as well as a...
Oh my god, okay, these gadgets were used to make the movie, they're not in the movie.
They're all
that's fair.
Mac-based. So there's a lot of Mac stuff.
Okay, we're going to carry on, but we will come back to more Mac stuff as we go, and Apple stuff as we go. Yeah. So we've got the payphone, which has the iris scanner, which I thought was particularly cool. Yeah. Particularly because it wasn't working. You had to give it a jab. I thought that was hilarious.
Do you know what code he put on the payphone?
I didn't see it. What was it?
It's Tom Cruise's birthday.
Like that.
So yeah, it was like 07.
You're such a geek.
It had that message though was like the most naffest message. It's like the world will expire in 4 hours 52 minutes, and it's just like, I'm sure they could have done better than that. It just felt really, really odd. Anyway, so that was fine. Let's carry on. We had the balloon drone, which I thought was pretty good.
reference to
powered by
Nina, wasn't it? 99
Yes,
red balloons.
99 red balloons.
Yeah.
But then it was powered by the Canon Viva HV40 camcorder, which was fine, nice. That quite legit. And then later on, they just throw it out the window and just go for wacky stuff that you just think to yourself, "Come on, not very realistic." Anyway, so aside from that, let's move on to the Moscow, the iPad 2, right? So
Looks
first
a bit
of all,
clunky now, doesn't it?
they used the iPad 2 with a little camera from AliExpress. I mean,
Yeah.
it must have been. It was literally. I've got a couple of them. I use them to work out where my cables have gone when I'm
We're
trying
in
to
the
run
future
cables
now, Alex.
behind things.
We're in the future.
So sorry.
We're in the future. Of course, we're going to laugh.
But no, it's just that's it.
Quick, keep going because I think Bobby's full of sleep.
But anyway, I just find it funny because it's like the equipment nowadays is it's just like you can get that for 15 quid on AliExpress. So I feel that you can't get that lovely screen that they did. That was legit. That was good. I particularly like the smart screen. The only thing that was a little bit of a shame is the fact when it gets really confused with multiple people. And I understand what they were trying to do, but it wouldn't work that way. You would just stick with one, maybe change it, but you would probably, Anyway, so that's all fine. I particularly loved, we talked about the 3D render and Benji's face. That was great. I haven't got the reversible jacket. Unfortunately, no, it wasn't a crew thing this time, so I can't give you that reference. Can we have a nod for Tom Cruise's drawing skills on his palm of his hand, please?
Okay, that was too fast as well. I mean,
It was.
it was very good,
It was like,
but it was way too fast. And for someone that he only caught a glimpse of,
I think he had a little ink pad and a stamp, and he just stamped it on his hands like that. Yeah, like a teacher's kit, all the stamps. And,
it was
Nyquist stamp made for him, you see. That's what it is.
maybe it's just proof that Tom Cruise is actually a robot, because maybe he was just going zzzz. There we go, that's what I saw. Because it really did feel like it looked like that.
Maybe he's a chameleon and he made his skin change colour. You ever thought about that, eh?
Maybe. All right, well, we're going to carry on because there's a lot, and Bobby's glaring at me. So
no, I'm going to try and draw. I'm going to try and draw on my hands, but none of my biros are working.
Oh, I haven't got a Sharpie with me.
I'm going to try and draw my hand.
Right, let's see what I
Maybe
can
we'll
come up
do
with.
it after at the end.
see what
Maybe
I
we'll
can
all
come
get
up
a
with.
pen and see what we can do.
Carry on, Alex. Hurry up.
You're distracting me now. I don't think I've got a
I'm
pen.
going to draw a picture of Alex or John.
So I love the fact that we had an old school train car, which had a code and a retina scanner, so that was good. The proportions did not feel like a train car to me. It's decidedly.
This is the
wow.
person that we saw infiltrating the Kremlin, John.
I can't see that.
Oh dear.
I've done my picture of Bobby on my hand, though.
Oh,
It's a
that's
bit.
great.
That is
oh,
my
that's
pitch.
quite good.
Yeah,
That is my picture of John
I'll give you a
flying down a
5,
ski
Bobby.
slope.
I'll give you a
That's
7.
a lady with boobs out, Bobby. That's not a picture of me. Sorry, audio listeners.
It's got a bald head.
Yes, but what's with the boobs, mate? I don't understand.
It's a good job you don't have to see any
Did you
clients
need to
tomorrow,
lose a
Ricky.
little bit of weight at the moment? And it was cold. It was cold.
And nothing
On the
will
slopes.
get our audio listeners more enticed to move over to the video version of this than what they've just heard now. Sorry, Alex, what were you talking about? I've
Right,
completely
where
lost
were we?
track.
Oh, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, yes.
As you were going
so in
over the top of the blocks.
So in
I'm
the thing
Bobby,
is, it's
hello.
all.
Sorry.
Oh dear.
Oh,
it's
this
quite
won't. Oh
realistic.
shit! This won't come off, and I've got to.
That's what I said. You've got a
Carolina's gonna
client
see it.
meeting tomorrow. Good luck with that. That'll be great. It's a Sharpie. It won't come off for love nor money.
No, not.
Get some acetone. Get some nail cleaner.
Okay. Yeah. I need to. Right. Carry on. I need to sort this out. I'm
So,
getting divorced.
but the other thing is, then in the train car, they jump forward, and it's like the most modern, like safe IMF safe room in the world. So they've got screens everywhere. They've
table,
got like
man.
this flat touchscreen.
That table
Yep,
screen
a
thing
table.
is awesome. It kind of comes down off the wall and a little leg pops out.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then and this really bugs me. Okay, so he gets the USB,
yeah.
gets the USB, and then he doesn't even plug it in. He just tops it, puts it on top, and somehow we're meant to see the
Details.
the mission from that and the details from that. So that just bugged me, because it's like, if you're going to have a USB drive, plug it in. You know, it's just courtesy, really. Anyway, particularly love the fact that we had Brandt opening up the armory accidentally
By
I
mistake
thought that was
with
a
his bum.
good comic moment.
Yep.
Yeah, we've all done it.
We
We've all
have,
done
yeah.
it.
I mean, I let
and
it against
then-
the wall, and all these guns appeared out of nowhere. It happens, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like a montage of like we've all got to gear up at the end of that moment.
Yeah.
And I could barely keep track. Like, it's just like guns and walkie-talkies and the face scanning machine, the mask machine, and all of that. So it's just like, all right, so they're all geared up. And then obviously you even see the sticky glove, which we'll come on to, and then you jump to Dubai and heading into the Burj.
Gecko gloves, apparently.
Exactly. Oh, gecko gloves. Yes, that's nice. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and then the moment of the MacBook Air. So, hands up, who's had a MacBook Air like that one? You must have all had it. Yeah, thought so.
No, I
has
didn't
every-
actually. I've always used MacBook Pros up
know what-
until
I
the
know what
MacBook
one.
Air M3 temporarily, and now I'm back with a MacBook Pro. But
No,
yeah,
this is-
but that
the Airs
original
were-
Air was amazing.
Very popular.
Yeah,
Such
they
a
were
great
brilliant.
machine.
Have you still got one?
Who?
It looks like. Yeah, it looks like John was just like going off
No,
screen.
I've always been a desktop iMac guy. I had a work Air for a while.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had
Ran it into
several
the
Airs
ground,
for
I used
work.
it so much, but yeah,
Yeah,
good device.
they're great. But the thing is, did you get a cover for it?
Yeah, I had a little zippy thing.
Oh
little
no,
slip
the cover that he has is a plastic, because you used to get these molded plastic laptop covers, and you could put them on, and it was just a great like hard shell for your fragile Mac. He obviously got them from Amazon, because everyone did. But yeah, so we've all had that. I had a bright red one, I had a clear one, and a smoke coloured one. It's just what you did if you had a MacBook Air, because you were like, this thing will break. I'm going to drop it at some point, and then it's going to break. So let's just give it something to look at, make it a bit stronger. Anyway, we'll carry on, shall we? So then we get to the Burj Khalifa. There's obviously him with his MacBook open, and then again we get Brandt going, oh look, let me put my iPhone to remind you how much time we've got. And I thought that was quite funny, because it's only just a timer app. It's not even
And
anything
actually, you
particularly
can see
special.
what OS as well. It looks like OS 5 or 6 or something. 'Cause it's the old sort of
Yeah,
dial
exactly.
clock thing. No.
Well, it was they were iPhone 5, iPhone 4s.
Right.
And then we'll come on to the one at the end as well. But yeah, so I just thought it was funny, because it was like they've made no effort, like the most smartest tech in the future, and then it was just like, have this phone, have this smartphone. I was like, oh, all right. Anyway, we've got the gloves, the cutter for the glass. I thought those were particularly good. We need to talk a little bit more about the stunt work later on. The server room that he busts into, there's a little ad for Dell going in there for their PowerEdge 2650 servers.
Well, Brandt is using a Dell phone as well.
Yeah.
He does, yeah. He does. He uses. There is a special phone. I can't remember what it's called. Hang on, the Dell Streak. That's it. The Dell Streak. Which no one used. It was Android. So that was an interesting one. Maybe he should have been a baddie, because that's normally how Apple does it. Is that they give all the iPhones to everyone that's good, and then they won't sponsor anyone that doesn't.
Okay,
Anyway,
keep moving.
We had the smart lens, which you mentioned, and your printer. So that was good. I think we all need a printer like that.
Suitcase. Yeah.
Yeah, the suitcase was pretty cool. I love the password on it. Do you remember the passcode on it?
000.
Nice. Yeah, briefcase tracker. So that was a bit odd because it was like Find My iPhone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like a being able to see where we could go later on when he does that whole chasing scene. Yeah, exactly. It's very much like an AirTag. Is they've just popped one into those. Anyway, funny how that works. What else do we have? So we have the BMW i8 hybrid car. Not really a gadget, but I thought it was a cool mention.
It was because the windscreen had heads-up display on it. It could detect people.
Well, that's a fair point actually. That was exactly it. Yeah.
Wasn't this the concept car? It's not the finish. It was the concept that they gave to the production
because it had all the lights and things and the wheel arches and things.
Yeah, there was lots of lights on it and stuff that aren't in the production versions at all. But it is a real car because I've sat one.
Yeah, it was the BMW i8 concept.
Yeah.
So a couple of things.
It's pretty good.
Is that all gadgets, Alex?
As I go through, the only other one that I've got here is a levitating rover.
Oh yeah.
Which you needed for that jump scene. So that was good. And then on this, the only other one I've got on my list is the one right at the end where he does an opera and gives everyone iPhone 4Ss. It's like you get an iPhone 4S, you get an iPhone 4S. Anyway,
you didn't kill my wife, so you get an iPhone 4S.
Exactly. So that was funny, but they did actually change to the iPhone 4S, which I thought was fun.
You missed out.
Anyway, that's my gadget.
You missed out the poison pin ring thing that Holloway uses on the agent at the beginning on the back of his neck as he taps.
Yeah.
And also
there's
the security card scanning device in the Kremlin which can work out the code.
Yes. Sorry, I did have that, but I forgot to mention it.
So here's my thing, right? Did you notice one theme around all the gadgets in the film?
They were all Apple?
Nope. Every gadget broke.
Ooh, interesting.
And Brad Bogan.
Yeah, which goes back to what I was... Yeah, exactly. They wanted to show that Mission Impossible wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the iPhone.
And that things would go wrong.
Well, I don't think the BMW i8 broke, but when he did his this message will self-destruct, he had to kick it for it to work.
Oh yeah.
The mask maker broke. There are other things that broke as well that didn't work, like the comms they had in the lift. He couldn't talk to Ethan.
Yeah, that's
lift,
true. That's very good.
There were loads of things that went wrong, and I think that was quite clever. That it just he made a point in at the end. Ethan saying the one thing that held together was his team when everything else went wrong. So I thought that was lovely.
That's his family quote, isn't it?
Yeah. We're family. Yeah, it's the old file. And this actually came out the same year as Fast and Furious 5, wasn't it? This film, so it's quite interesting that sort of
which was a very good film.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot there, isn't there?
Yeah, good. Have you finished now?
I have finished. That's all good.
Okay,
Did you enjoy that?
I'll
tolerated it
more than I'll enjoy editing it. Ghost Protocol was a massive success, grossing $695 million worldwide, the highest of the franchise to date. It revitalized the series, especially after the modest showing of Mission Impossible 3, and the film performed particularly well internationally, with China and Russia contributing significantly to the movie's revenues. Critics praised the film's spectacle, tight pacing, and Brad Bird's direction, and the Burj Khalifa sequence was universally hailed as one of the greatest stunts in cinematic history, quite rightly so. Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds a 93% fresh rating, and Tom Cruise's renewed commitment to the series and his physicality impressed both audiences and the critics. The film reinvigorated the Mission Impossible series, and it set the standard for everything that is to come. Alex, you're in for a roller coaster ride, my friend.
Looking forward to it.
solidified the team format with the returning characters of Benji and Brant, who we will see again, spoiler alert, in Rogue Nation, showed that the franchise could continue with Tom Cruise, but not without him. And the combination of humor, emotion, and jaw-dropping action became the blueprint for the Mission Impossible series going forward. It was more than a fourth installment, it was a rebirth, and it took the spectacle of modern blockbusters, combined it with old school spycraft, which is what I personally loved so much about this film, and it proved that Mission Impossible was only getting started. Ratings,
I was upset.
John.
I was upset that they had only like a minute of Luther in this. I was upset with that, and they sort of shoehorned him at the end to refer to the next film. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it was other filming commitments from Ving Rhames.
Possibly. He's not even credited
No.
in this either. It's just a cameo.
It gets so far with our ratings, it gets a 3 for running scenes, it gets a 0 for cruise schmooze. I'm going to give this, in a homage to the Rotten Tomatoes, a rating of 9.3. I think it's a very important film in the franchise. Without it, we wouldn't have such good films. Spoiler, Bobby, following this. And I think we're going to have a real problem rating these following films.
We are.
To show. Are we going to run out of numbers?
You know,
Firstly, Ving Rhames wasn't in it because of scheduling conflicts.
Yeah,
it wasn't
that makes
to
sense.
do with not wanting him in it.
No.
Is your rating coloured by the fact that you know what is to come?
Yes.
Alex, shut your ears. Okay, fine.
I mean, having Leia Seydoux in that added a few points to me as well, because she's lovely.
Yeah.
I think the variety of different scenes and locations in this film was really good. I think the humour with Benji and Brant was really good, and the emotion at the end with his wife really pushed the rating up for me as well. Because
that was nice.
Properly didn't cry, but I properly had a lump in my throat right at the end, and I thought that was really nice.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I really connected with this film, I think, and I gave it such a high rating. I can't think of any tenuous links for myself, though, so I'm hoping some of you got them.
I'm going to go back to what I would have given it when I walked out the cinema, and that's a 9 out of 10, straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Very little wrong with it. Maybe the sandstorm sequence got on my tits a little bit, but other than that, it was great. So there we go. Alex?
So I was pleasantly surprised with all of it, to be honest. It was very hard to fault. There were bits that were funny in some of their treatments. The running scene, it was funny how selective the sandstorm bit was. It was like I can't see a thing, but now it's all of a sudden clearing again. No, I can't see a thing again. It was just funny how it all works. But genuinely, it was just really enjoyable 2 hours. I really enjoyed it.
2 hours and 14
There's very little
minutes.
to fault in it. Thank you very much. And it just didn't feel that long. Like it I think it was good. I love that things did go a bit wrong, because I think that actually helped, made you feel. Because the thing is that some of the other ones before it are almost too slick. You know, it's like, oh, I've got to think too hard about this.
You
Whereas
wouldn't have
this
that
one
scene with him flying into the window if the gecko gloves hadn't also broken. You know, so
yeah,
like everything breaks and it makes the film. It's brilliant.
Yeah. It was really good. So yeah, for me, there's an element of how high should I rate it given what's coming up.
You gave MI3 9.
I might need to revise that, because this
I don't
is
think
way
you can.
better
I
than
don't
that.
think you can have revisionist history.
I think I'll.
No, you
I
can,
don't.
because during the Bond series, I was forever doing that. So of course you can do it.
And you were always grilling me for my scores as well, because you were saying, "Is it or is it not better?"
No. It was about integrity. I know that you want to be, for the audience. You're always thinking about the audience, Alex.
Yeah, this is so let's talk about that then.
To
So
be fair,
it's definitely better than
to be
MI3.
fair,
God, just give you a rating.
well, to be fair, we know what the following films are like, so we can kind of revise our scores as we're doing it. But Alex can't, so that is fair, to be honest.
I think yeah, I think
So
I
we're
think
getting
it's a bit
Alex's ratings in the moment,
Yeah.
basically. Okay, fine. Right, go on then,
right,
Alex.
in
Hurry
which
up.
case
Give
I'm
us a
going to
number.
have to give it a 9.5 because
Okay.
the thing for me is it's better than 3, like significantly better.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have marked the other one further down actually, because it's not going to give me anywhere to go. But I might have to go 10.5 or whatever. We'll have to see. But I feel like it could go in that direction nowadays. Whereas beforehand, I only had like 1, 2, and 3 to go on, and at that rate, it could have been 3. Could have been my best choice. So.
Do we have any tenuous links to films, personally?
I don't know, but this whole thing is getting tenuous now. But no.
Should I give you the overall score then? So, are you going to change your score for MI3 at all, Alex? You gave it a 9. Do you want to revise that to a different score?
Yeah, it might have to go down.
8.5?
Might have to go down to. It might have to go down to an 8.
Okay, so
Yeah.
MI3, with its high number of running scenes and one schmooze, put it at 28.5. But even despite that, even with less running scenes and no crew schmooze, MI4 it has beaten MI3 and has 30.8 as its rating. So all is well with the world.
Okay, great. I have no idea how your bloody ratings works. Thank you,
Add them up,
guys, for this. I cannot wait to do the next one. Thank you all for, if you're still here, for suffering through.
Oh my God.
But let's do.
It's
If
like
you
our
tap
podcast
Ghost
or an
Protocol
impossible
into the
mission,
comments,
really, isn't it?
I'll send you one of my very rare. You can't get them anymore. Apple stickers, and if you are an Android user, you can. So
There goes half our audience.
I
don't
can get you a
forget.
sticker from
Don't
Android.
forget to
Yeah.
subscribe. Leave us a review. Well, it was like, I was on the train the other day, and someone was giving me the eye, and I gave her a smile, and then looked down at the phone, and she was using an Android, and it
Red
just
flag.
broke the moment. Don't
But
forget
can your phone do
don't
that?
forget to subscribe.
It can't,
Please
can it?
leave us a rating and review if you're listening to the audio version and your podcast listening vessel allows. And don't forget to share this podcast with people you know who might be
But not
entertained
Android
by
listeners,
all the
apparently.
geeky nonsense that
apparently.
these two talk. I don't care. Got a favourite moment from the film, or is there a behind the scenes fact that we missed, or these
got
two
wrong.
got wrong?
Yeah.
Please
Yeah, I'm sure
do
there
drop
must
it
be.
in the comments and pile in on those guys and be nice to me. We always love hearing from you. On a serious note, we do genuinely love hearing from you, and we do reply to every single person, which is what makes us special. Don't forget, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join us next time as we tackle Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.